The opening words are adapted from those by Jennifer Grayson. We come together every week, bound not by a creed or a mutual desire to please one God or many gods. Yet we are drawn together by a belief that how we are in the world, who we are together, matters. We come together today to remember those who have passed in service to our country from an illness that has shaken the world, from racial violence, and those who have touched our hearts and are gone from us. We gather today Sorry, my pages are out of order. We gather today together in the knowledge that we can support each other as we mourn, remembering that love, not fear, can change this world. Please join me in speaking the words on your screen as we light the chalice, the symbol of our faith. Let us open our eyes to see what is beautiful. Let us open our minds to learn what is true. Let us open our hearts to love one another. Please join us in singing the hymn, Forward Through the Ages. Eleanor will play the piano and Misha will lead the singing as you sing at home with muted mics.
Wider grows the vision, realm of glory, heroes for it died. Forward through the ages in unbroken line, move the faithful spirits at the call divine. Not alone we conquer, not alone we fall. In each loss or triumph, lose or triumphal, bound by God's far purpose in one living whole. Move we on together to the shining goal. Forward through the ages in unbroken line, move the faithful spirits at the call divine.
Each week we carry the sorrows and celebrations of our lives. If you have a joy or sorrow you would like to share with the group, you can type it into the chat box and I will read it aloud for all those listening. You can open the chat box by hovering over the menu, often at the bottom of your screen, and clicking on the chat option. I will begin by lighting a virtual candle in honor of all the simple joys that are sustaining us. I will light another virtual candle in honor of the personal and shared sorrows and hardships we might be carrying. I will light one more candle in honor of the joys and sorrows we carry in our hearts but have not been spoken aloud. We will share a moment of silence together. Some of us will experience that silence as a time for prayer, some simply as a time to honor what has been said and left unsaid. I invite you into a silence of your own understanding. Memorial Day is, oops, oh, I am. Memorial Day is traditionally a time set aside to remember all those who have given their lives in service to our country. In a world that has grown complicated, there are many who give their lives in service beyond those in uniform. Today, we will remember all who have passed and served in so many different ways to teach us about courage, about the value of life, about the sacred relationships that guide us in our lives.
We begin with a prayer to honor our military who have given their lives to protect a way of life we cherish. A Memorial Day Prayer by Barbara J. Peskin. Spirit of life, whom we have called by many names in thanksgiving and in anguish. Bless the poets and those who mourn. Send peace for the soldiers who did not make the wars, but whose lives were consumed by them. Let strong trees grow above graves far from home. Breathe through the arms of their branches. The earth will swallow your tears while the dead sing. No more, never again, remember me. For the wounded ones and those who received them back, let there be somebody ready when the memories come, when the scars pull and the buried metal moves, and forgiveness for those of us who were not there for our ignorance. And in us, veterans in a forest of 1,000 fallen promises, let new leaves of protest grow on our stumps. Give us courage to answer the cry of humanity's pain, and with our bare hands, out of full hearts, with all of our intelligence, let us create the peace. Amen. May it be so. We light a candle in remembrance of all those brave men and women who have given their lives in service to this country. If you would like to name a veteran you would like remembered today, or say something briefly about these brave souls, please key your name into the chat box and I will call on you.
David.
Who's the first one? Brenda?
David who?
Pat Tulo.
Yeah, I just wrote in the chat box that I honor my father, Arcangelo Tulo, who was an Italian language interpreter for the U.S. Army in World War I.
Thank you. Nita?
I honor my father, Leroy Peacock. He was a career Air Force officer, and my brother and many uncles who are all veterans. And I speak to all families who served with their fathers and mothers, because the service families also dedicated their lives to service for the country.
I like to honor also my father, Carl Voer, who served in World War II in a tank, helping to liberate Italy at that time.
Thank you both. Mary?
I would like to just add on to the memory of Anne Ralph Dorr, who was a gunnery sergeant and teacher in World War II. And we always thought it was quite, well, maybe bittersweet that it was Memorial Day weekend that she passed at too early of the age of 60. She served her country well.
Thank you. Margie?
Hi, I would like to honor my dad, Edward Grandy Jr., and he served in the Korean War.
Thank you. John Owens?
Yes, I'd like to honor my father, Arthur Owens Jr., who served in World War II and hated every minute of his service. He was not an Army guy. And also my grandfather, Arthur Owens Sr., who fought in World War I, was gassed in the trenches somewhere in Europe, but made it back. And, that was probably the most horrible war in anyone's experience. But he was there and he did his duty.
Thank you. Lois? Burns?
I'd like to honor my husband Bruce Burns, and he served in the Air Force. 7 of his brothers also served in the service, all the way from World War II through Korea and Vietnam wars. And my own brother, who was in Vietnam War.
Thank you. Susie?
I would like to honor my father, George Heine, who was a medic in the Navy during World War II and then again in the Korean War. Also, Wyman's father, Ben Weinbeck, and last but not least, my husband, Wyman.
Thank you. And I will add my great uncle, Hans Lockram, who was in World War I and suffered from gas terribly for the remainder of his life. And my cousin, Emery Lee Hall, the person I was named after, who was a chauffeur for General Billy Mitchell when they were developing napalm in Africa. And my cousin, once removed from Lakeville, who served in Vietnam for 3 weeks before he was killed instantly in an operation. His name was David Huberty. And I think last but not least, my uncle, Peter Christensen Topp, who was in the Air Force in 1918 and who died an early death at the age of 39, long after the war, but perhaps a result of it. And Beverly.
I would like to honor my ancestors who left Germany in 1858 to escape the Kaiser's army. But for that, I may not be here.
And for all those named here, oh, I'm sorry, Sue Coleman.
I want to honor my Uncle Ken, who at the age of 18 found himself freezing and alone in a German forest during the Battle of the Bulge, the sole survivor of his unit.
Wow. Finally, for all those named here and all those who have served and died, we take a moment to honor them in silence.
The COVID-19 epidemic has been part of our lives for the last year and a half. Too many have died in our country and across the globe. It is important to take a moment to remember the loss of those who must never become mere numbers to us. They are our beloved mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, grandmothers, grandfathers, aunts, uncles, husbands, wives, children, and extended family. They are beloved Americans and citizens of the world, suddenly wiped out by an invisible enemy that threatens us all. We offer this blessing adapted from the words of Carrie Weber, executive editor of America Magazine. We ask for guidance in the midst of the global presence of the coronavirus, that we may experience the healing power of love. Bless those who are sick with the virus. May they regain their strength and health through quality medical care. Heal us from our fear, which prevents nations from working together and neighbors from helping one another. Heal us from our pride, which can make us claim invulnerability to a disease that knows no borders. We send a blessing to those who have died from the virus. May they be at rest in eternal peace. We bless the families of those who are sick or have died. As they worry and grieve, we ask for their protection from illness and despair. May they know comfort to soothe their hearts and spirits. We bless the doctors, nurses, researchers, and all medical professionals who seek to heal and help those affected and who put themselves at risk in the process. May they remain safe and know peace. We bless the leaders of all nations. Give them the foresight to act with charity and true concern for the well-being of the people they are meant to serve. Give them the wisdom to invest in long-term solutions that will help prepare for or prevent future outbreaks. May they know peace as they work together to achieve it on earth. Whether we are home or abroad, surrounded by many people suffering from this illness, or only a few, we ask for strength as we endure and mourn, persist and prepare. In place of our anxiety, may we all know peace. We light a candle in remembrance of all those who have died as a result of COVID-19. If you would like to name someone who has died from COVID-19 that you would like remembered today, or say something briefly about these precious souls, please key your name into the chat box and I will call on you. Kristen.
I'm thinking of my cousin Kleina, who died of COVID this past year.
I'm thinking of my good friend Mary, who also died this year due to the virus. For all those named here and all those who have died from COVID-19, we take a moment to honor them in silence.
The following remarks are adapted from a posting written by Jen Wong, pastoral intern from Augsburg College. The reports of violent deaths have become a story all too familiar to Black, Indigenous, people of color communities. Police brutality has been the norm for decades in America. Black citizens, men and boys in particular, are murdered by the hands of authority figures sworn to serve and protect the community. We have heard the names of too many whose lives have been senselessly taken, and we know there are countless others we'll never hear about. Every Friday over the last year at Augsburg College in Minneapolis, they hold 8 minutes and 46 seconds of silence in honor of George Floyd and all those victims of police brutality and white supremacy. Silence, though, is not enough. We must not let George Floyd become just a statistic. All the names must be spoken in order that they remain in our collective consciousness. It is the least we can do as we continue our work to end the violence against Black, Indigenous, people of color communities due to white body supremacy. Today and every day, let us speak their names. Dante Wright, Rayshard Brooks, Daniel Prude, David McCarthy, George Floyd, Tamir Rice, Michael Brown, Eric Garner, Philandro Castile, Breonna Taylor, Elijah McClain, Terrence Crutcher, Alton Sterling, Freddie Gray, Botham Jean, Betty Jones, Laquan McDonald, Tyree Davis, Trayvon Martin. Those names we know that are too many to read today. Those whose names we do not know. Those names we have since forgotten. This prayer was offered by Jen Luong in conclusion. Let us continue to speak the names of those who have fallen, whose earthly lives ended too soon because of violence and hatred. We pray today for an end to white supremacy, systemic racism, and all their effects. We know we have been given the beautiful gift of diversity. Open our hearts to see one another as we truly are. We ask to be equipped for the work of dismantling unjust systems and to be shown a path toward reconciliation and true peace. Amen. We light a candle in remembrance of all those who have died as a result of racial violence. If you would like to name someone who has died in violence because of the color of their skin or ethnicity that you would like remembered today, or say something briefly about those murder victims, please key your name into the chat box and I will call on you. Kristen.
I am thinking of Philando Castile today, but more so, not more so, but especially the children that were impacted by his wonderfully warm, caring presence in the schools, including while my daughter was there, the school where my daughter attended, and thinking of George Floyd's daughter and the children for whom hopefully we can change this world.
Thank you, Kristen. I just want to give thanks for the people who are championing the rights of these communities and that are working so hard. Black Lives Matter and various other groups. I mean, it's just such a difficult thing in our community, our world, that there is such prejudice. For all those here and all those who have died as a result of racial violence, we take a moment to honor them in silence. After the loss of one we loved who has touched us deeply, we find ourselves sitting with an emptiness that is at the same time full. As our grief follows its course, there are many times in the days that follow when silence happens without our actively seeking it. Or something might happen that may cause us to choose a more deliberate, quiet time. In either instance, you may experience what is expressed in this meditation, The Great Peace, written by Robert Terry Western. Always there is something that lives on when folly has burned itself out, when the leaves are sere and fall one by one, when the hair is white and the hands tremble and cannot quite find what they seek. Always there is something. Perhaps it is a whisper in the night, or a great silence when the planes are gone and the cars are silent beside the highways and the children are asleep and the heart can hear a soundless voice. Always there is something beyond all time. The past that hurt has slipped away. The humiliations, the failures, the resentments, the sorrows, the haunting fears dissolve into the healing night. The darkness is no longer darkness, but a comforting presence, and it comes a great peace flooding the heart. It comes a sense of healing forgiveness, a sense of comprehending and forgiving compassion, a meaning in which all things are comprehended and made whole, though we, accepting, comprehend it not. Always there is something, and we, knowing this, need never fear again, nor hate, nor grieve, for there is always something. Above defeat and success alike, and to know and feel this is to know the great peace. We light a candle in remembrance of all those who are dear to us, who have touched our hearts, and who are no longer with us. If you would like to name someone who has died that you would like remembered today, please key your name into the chat box, and I will call on you. Bill.
In January, I lost my older brother, Mike, to cancer. You'll be remembered.
Thank you, Bill. Mary.
I've wanted to just acknowledge, this is a little out of order because I remembered it belatedly, but to honor and the memory of Jim and Mary Agnes Smith, who are the parents of a very dear friend of mine, and they died from complications to COVID in December of 2020, just missing their access to the COVID vaccine by less than 2 months. They were 90 and 92 respectively. So they lived a good life. Yeah.
Liz.
I just wanted to remember my son, Nicholas Winterhalter, who died a year ago. Just miss him deeply.
Thank you, Liz. Nita.
I'm remembering all our friends and our own community of UUFN that have passed over the last few years. But I also want to honor all of my family and ancestors. I'm now the oldest living relative on each side at age 77. And with that, I feel the responsibility of carrying our family flag. But I do honor all those who've taught me so much.
Thank you, Nita. For all those named here and all those who we love who have passed, we take a moment to honor them in silence. I'm sorry, I miss Kristen.
I just wanted to, although Nita spoke to this, but I just wanted to stop and honor Jay and Andy both. And I know they're in our hearts.
Thank you, Kristen. And now we will take that moment to honor all of these people in silence.
Please join us in singing the hymn We Laugh, We Cry. Rebecca will play the piano and Troy will lead the singing as we sing at home with muted mics.
We laugh, we cry, we die, we dance, we sing a song. We need to feel there's something here to which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. But most of all, we need close friends we can call our very own. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a need to be together. We have our hearts to give. We have our thoughts to receive. And we believe that sharing is an answer. A child is born among us and we feel a special glow. We see time time's endless journey as we watch the baby grow. We thrill to hear imagination freely running wild. We dedicate our minds and hearts to the spirit of this child, and we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a time to be together, and with the grace of age we share the wonder of youth, and we believe that growing is an answer. Our lives are full of wonder and our time is very brief. The death of one among us fills us all with pain and grief. But as we live, so shall we die, and when our lives are done, the memories we shared with friends, they will linger on, and we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a place to be together. We have the right to grow, we have the gift to believe that peace within our living is an answer. We seek elusive answers to the questions of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what we find. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a joy being together. And in our search for peace, maybe we'll finally see, even to question truly is an answer.
Half of all funds given to the UUFN offering basket in May will be donated to Voices for Racial Justice. This organization envisions a world without racism that honors the culture, knowledge, power, and the healing of Black, Indigenous, and communities of color. They are committed to building power through collective cultural and healing strategies for racial justice across Minnesota, using organizing, leadership, training, community policy, and research. You can donate via PayPal at our website, uunorthfield.org, and select the Share the Plate designation. Or you can still mail checks made payable to UUFN with offering basket on the memo line to UUFN PO Box 363, Northfield, Minnesota 55057. Separate checks marked UUFN Pledge are always welcome. Thank you for giving as you are able. Please join us in singing our final hymn, Spirit of Life, with our own UUFN choir, audio mix recording from Misha Vanderwegge, and video from Paul Krause.
Come
The closing words are written by Lori Gorga Slaban. Birth is a miracle of love and courage, bringing light into the world. Death is a loss of light, but no less an act of courage. For we are born from and return to mystery. Please join me. I don't know what that was. Please join me as we extinguish our chalice here in our homes and in your homes. You will see the words on your screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go in peace.